scandal is talking about a certain NFL wide receiver that could be on the move. You know who we're talking about. That's right, DeAndre Hopkins. And actually, the news came down just a minute or so ago, a few minutes ago, as a matter of fact, that the official release of DeAndre Hopkins is now being put into motion. Of course, no moves could be made on Friday because was it because of the holiday weekend, Beau? What exactly was stopping transactions from going through on that Friday? Because I forget exactly what was the reasoning behind it.
Well, they shut off transactions from Friday through Tuesday.
Right.
And so basically they gave a 4-day weekend, but there was also a lot of speculation that there could be more to it than just that could be waiting. I don't know 100% how many of their June 1st designations they use. You get 2 per year. So there's a lot of speculation that might have been one of the things that was going on with them, that they were waiting to use the June 1st designation and cut his cap hit over 2 years. But yeah, that was most likely, it was the whole transaction moratorium basically that the league had for the holiday weekend.
Well, now the official release of DeAndre Hopkins, as I told you a moment ago, is going through. It is being put through the NFL system and whatnot, if you will. So DeAndre Hopkins is going to end up being a free agent, and he is going to be able to sign with whatever team he chooses. Could that team be the Atlanta Falcons? Right off the bat, Beau, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins wants to come to Atlanta. You all were talking about on the morning shift earlier this morning, and I thought Mike laid it out beautifully, and I talked about it on my show earlier this morning. Well, the Hometown Take. It just doesn't seem like a destination that DeAndre Hopkins would want to come to for a multitude of reasons. Number one, we already have a lot of weapons here. We already have a lot of mouths to feed. Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Cordell Patterson, because I think he's going to be involved in the receiving game with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier now a lot more. Then you have Jonnu Smith. You have Matt Collins. You have Scotty Miller. So there are just so many weapons the Atlanta Falcons have right now. He's not going to receive a lot of the targets. And the other thing about it is that I'm not even sure that DeAndre Hopkins views the Atlanta Falcons as a Super Bowl contender quite yet. Not to say that, he doesn't see them as a team that could go to the postseason or maybe make some noise, but I'm not sure he views the Atlanta Falcons as a Super Bowl contender. And that's no slight to the Atlanta Falcons. I think we're going to make some noise. I think we're going to surprise some people. You see, we're already getting some respect from the national media now and, people close to the league. But I'm just not sure if this is a desired destination for DeAndre Hopkins. And there are reasons why the Atlanta Falcons might not be interested in him as well, too, because you don't know what the price is going to be, Beau. So there are just a lot of factors as to why DeAndre Hopkins' first choice probably is not the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, yeah, look, I just want to look at it from this way. I mean, there's just not enough touches to go around. And DeAndre Hopkins is not coming here to be the third option or the fourth option. And you've spent 3 draft picks in 3 straight years to put weapons on this offense. And you're operating at a low income cost there with those 3 guys. So why would you go sign a guy that wants a ton of money because he has a name? He wasn't healthy last year. He was also suspended for part of the time. I think his production was more an issue with the quarterback than him once he did come back.
Right.
But I just don't think it makes any sense for me. I think you've built this offense with weapons. I don't know why you do that. I do think there's something to the fact that maybe he doesn't know what we are, and maybe he doesn't want to come to a question mark team when he could go maybe take less money and play for a team that could win a Super Bowl and then go have a big year, or compete for a Super Bowl, go have a big year and sign another big deal. I mean, he could go to, he puts Buffalo.
Yep.
Even though Buffalo has bigger needs than wide receiver, I think Buffalo, their running game is something they haven't addressed at all this year, it's just something they're going to have to do sooner. Josh Allen's going to break down the way we saw players like Cam Newton break down, who are running
Right.
running the ball more and taking those shots. That's why Cam broke down. It's because Cam took so many shots. So I don't know. Maybe that's an option. But there's some teams that maybe could compete. I just don't. You just never know where he could end up. And what do you want to go with a team like Vegas want him, and maybe he pay him less there? I don't know. I don't think that's a very good spot either. I don't think that's necessarily a contender in my eyes right now.
Yeah.
So I think if he's looking for a contender, there might be limited options. If Kansas City, I know, was interested in a trade, if they can make it work, that's he goes there and he's the best receiver on the team, and he's the second best. He's the third best offensive player, the second best weapon. He'd be behind Travis Kelce, and then he'd be the third best offensive player behind Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. So that would be a good spot to me, and that would open that offense up even more and make that team an even better. So that would be, to me, if I was him, top of my list. Maybe even being reunited with, if Cleveland can afford it, with Deshaun Watson, if they could figure out a way to do that in Cleveland. So I think they're just better options. I just don't know why you would come here and share all those targets for a team that's going to be a 50-50 more likely team. I think this offense will be a lot more balanced than they've been in the past. So I think they'll be a 50-50 team as far as run-pass option. So, yeah, I just don't think it makes sense in a ton of different ways. But you never know. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen crazier things happen. So,
yeah. So there's also another layer to this too. He's kind of already, I don't necessarily want to say he's shown his cards, but you have to think he's already kind of given us a list without kind of giving us a list. And what I mean by that is he was on the I Am Athlete podcast 1 or 2 weeks ago, and he gave a list of quarterbacks he would like to play for and like to play with and like to have the ball thrown to him. That list consisted of Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and I think Justin Herbert might have been on that list as well. I can't remember, but I know for sure it was Patrick Mahomes, it was Jalen Hurts, it was Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. So you have to think those are the teams at the top of the list. If those are the quarterbacks he said he wanted to play with the most, you have to think those teams are probably at the top of his list. Now, whether that can work or not is right to be seen, but you got to think, though, those are the teams, those are his top destinations.
Yeah, but he's not going to play with Jalen Hurts because they've already got two. They got AJ Brown and
Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith. That's not going to work. Okay, you can't go there. You're not going to. The Josh Allen one was fine. I mean, here's the deal. He also said in that whole thing, I want to play with a player that loves the game as much as me.
Right.
And that was when he started naming these guys. Those aren't the only guys that love the game. That's the thing for me. I would be worried though, where he could end up. What if he ended up what if New Orleans found a way to get him? Now, I mean, they've already got Michael Thomas and my guy from Ohio State. They just drafted
Chris Olave.
Yeah, who's I thought was the best receiver that came out of that draft last year.
Right.
So I think, I mean, you're telling me you wouldn't want to play with Aaron Rodgers?
Right.
I mean, if they could afford that, all I hear is players rave about Lamar Jackson. And he's got Lamar on his list, but can they afford him because they just overpaid for Odell? So I think, he wouldn't want to go play with Tua and Tyreek Hill. And boy, I cannot think of anybody's name today. My guy from Alabama.
Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, and Waddle. I mean, that again, how many balls? How many balls are there? Would he not want to go to Seattle? Maybe play with Geno and
DK, Tyler Lockett.
Metcalf opposite him. So I don't know. I think the Herbert one, which I know that he said he was hesitant on, which is odd to me.
Right.
That one's really intriguing to me because I think Herbert could use another weapon that could possibly stay on the field. So there's a lot of that kind of is very interesting to me of the names he named off.
Now, before we move on, I do have one more question for you. Do you think this is something that could happen sooner rather than later, or do you think this might be something that could take a little while before we see him sign with a team? Because, I guess maybe my question is, do you think teams might be a little bit more hesitant to sign him? Maybe they wait to see what happens throughout training camp. I mean, knock on my hardwood floor. We hope injuries don't happen, but injuries happen. Could it be one of those things where maybe a team waits to see kind of, if they need a wide receiver, if there's a need coming out of training camp, if anybody gets hurt, God forbid, or do you think this is going to be something that kind of happens right away? Like, no, this is D-Hop. We need to go get him. He's our last piece to maybe get us over the hump.
That's a good question. And I would think that he probably won't be out there too long, because I think they'd want to get him in and get him acclimated to the system, get timing and that kind of stuff down.
Yeah.
But it also depends on how much money he's going to want. I would expect this to happen, no doubt before July, maybe in the next few days or weeks.
Okay.
I just think there's the off-season program. You want to get these guys in and just have them a little bit. So I would expect it sooner than later. But it also, look, money's definitely going to be an issue with this. So you got to remember that. All
right. We'll see where DeAndre Hopkins lands. We'll see how long it takes before DeAndre Hopkins finds a new home. But as I told you moments ago, that release is getting put through the NFL ringer right about now. So that will be official here very soon. All right.